As a mom with 8 kids, currently building a house, life is busy and it doesn't look the same every single day. But one consistency that's happened through all the homes that we've lived in, through all the children that I've had, is I start every morning with a cup of coffee. I never know who exactly is going to be awake during this time when we're cuddled up, but there's always at least 2 or 3 boys around me. Real quick, I want to say thank you to KiwiCo for sponsoring today's video. More on them in a bit. For the most part, breakfast around here is pretty simple. Sometimes I'll plan ahead and I'll have something that I can bake. Most of the time I have some sourdough bread sitting on the counter, and so I give kids the choice of having a slice of toast with eggs or some yogurt with granola and some kind of fruit. A lot of times the older kids will make their own breakfast. They'll either get some toast with peanut butter or some yogurt, or they'll fry themselves an egg. For the younger boys, I usually make them the same thing and serve them all at one time. So this usually for me is 4 little boys that I'm specifically making a plate or a bowl for. I have been doing Instacart or Walmart Plus orders for many, many years now. Probably for the last 6 years, I've been doing it this way. Sometimes I'll do a pickup, but for the most part, I am doing delivery, and it's really fast now that we're in town because we're so close to Walmart if I need something super last minute. But typically it's a planned ahead thing. Throughout the week, I will add things to my cart and finalize the order for a morning delivery, either on maybe a Monday or a Tuesday. And then you can continue adding things to the order all the way up until, I don't know what the exact hours are, but it usually, because of the way I plan the orders in the morning, it's usually sometime in the middle of the night that you could no longer place an order. So before bed, if there's any last minute things I want to add, I will add that to the order. And then it comes in the morning and everyone helps to bring the groceries in. We get them put away. It's really efficient. It's such a blessing living in this day and age to have that available for us. I usually have the same things that we get over and over again. In the middle of summer, there are some things coming from the garden and the farmer's market, and I get meat from a farm and milk, so I don't get everything from there. But typically I can make it to where I only need to get 1 order a week. Not always. There are times when I forget things, but the goal is a big once a week order. I make sure to always have plenty of carrots, onions, celery, garlic, potatoes. Those are staples that we use over and over again. Our hens are being terrible right now and hardly laying, so lots of eggs. I also wanted to add some toasted coconut to some granola that I already made. And then I have several things that I usually get off Thrive Market that I didn't plan ahead enough that I really needed in the pantry, like diced tomatoes and sugar. And so I just went ahead and got those so that we're stocked up for the week and can do all the baking and all of the cooking that we need to do. We also go through just a crazy amount of cocoa powder in our family because we make chocolate milk constantly. I just put a little bit of honey, a little bit of cocoa powder, and the kids drink it all the time. I also have been getting fresh herbs every week. They last a really long time, or at least they stay great for the week in water. They're pretty on the windowsill, and I've been adding them to everything. Since we have this big old farm dog in town temporarily, Luke takes him on a walk 2 times a day, and usually a couple of boys will come with him on their bikes. He puts Victor in the backpack. Now, Victor never doesn't go. He has to go. He looks forward to that morning walk. He goes over to where his little backpack carrier is. So Victor is a given, and then depending on how nice the weather is, a few boys will join him on bikes as well. I made up some eggs and toast for myself, and a few other kids wanted that. I also had some leftover sausage patties, so a few of those types of breakfast. I don't eat first thing in the morning, I think because I have cream in my coffee. I'm not that hungry. I know that isn't perfectly approved health-wise, but it really works for me. And so typically the kids have already eaten breakfast by the time that I eat breakfast. And then I use the morning time to prep some food. So I got a roast in the Instant Pot. That will be great for later today. I'm also getting some sourdough buns going for a meal that I want to do tonight. When you start things in the morning, time is really on your side because you can make things that really don't require all that much effort, but they just need a lot of time, not really active time, but just time to either ferment or slow cook. So I like to just get some of them going in the morning. The kids know what they need to do to get ready for the day. get dressed, start their math lessons, and then after that, the school day is underway. Right now, as we're living in town while we build our farmhouse, life can be a little busy because I can't just send kids outside endlessly to play all day. That's why I'm so thankful for today's video sponsor, KiwiCo. And to be fair, we loved KiwiCo back when we lived on our little homestead, and we'll continue to love it on the farm, but it is especially a lifesaver right now during these busy town days. With KiwiCo, your child can build skills while discovering cool science and art concepts through fun, hands-on projects delivered to their door every month. Each project is built to last and goes through rigorous kid testing to make sure that it scores an A+ in genuine fun. Our kids get so excited when KiwiCo arrives, they cannot wait to dig into every single one. It works great for our large family because instead of getting them all out on one day, usually we will get one out, let several kids help with one, like if it's the younger ones who need help with the reading. Some of the older ones love stepping in, and it really extends the amount of time that we can get out of each one, plus they can dig deeper into the concepts and really learn something. Projects can be played with over and over again, so they won't just be sitting on a shelf. They quickly become some of the favorite things in our home. KiwiCo Crates encourage kids to be creative, bold, curious, and persistent through hands-on play and projects. With KiwiCo, kids can discover they have what it takes to build and innovate. Kids build skills over time: robotics, engineering, art techniques, and more. There's something for every age and interest, and we have certainly seen that with our kids. We have different personalities in our family, and so some kids will gravitate more to one over the other, but they all can get something out of it at each age level. As a parent, it can be hard to find a creative gift to keep your children off their screens, to keep them engaged, especially in these upcoming summer months when days become just a little bit less structured. And KiwiCo does the legwork for you so you can spend quality time tackling projects together. There's no commitment, so you can pause or cancel at any time. I really think you'll love KiwiCo, so use my code FARMHOUSE to get 50% off your first box for kids ages 3+, or go to my link, kiwico.com/farmhouseyt. I'll also leave it linked in the description box below. Again, thank you so much, KiwiCo, for sponsoring today's video. Currently, the baby still takes 2 naps a day. I tried to move him down to only 1 nap, and it really didn't work out. So I put him down at 9:30, and then I wake him up at 11 because otherwise he'll just keep on sleeping and then he won't take his afternoon nap. And then his second nap of the day starts around 2. It's usually not that long, which is why I wanted him to go to 1 nap, but he just couldn't make it with our schedule because of all the other kids and the way that we have our whole day structured. We really can't do afternoon nap until afternoon. So after we do lunchtime and school time, he would really prefer to sleep, I would say, around 11 to 2 probably. But since that doesn't really work for the rest of the family's schedule, we just do 2 shorter naps. After I get him down for his morning nap, I usually do a little bit more tidying and a little more kitchen work. The toddler is the one that you have to watch at all moments of every day. So that's why it's easier usually to get a few more pieces of housework done when he goes to sleep. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't do things when he's around too. If he's playing in the kitchen or nearby, I can do things like bake bread, make dinner. Also, as a large family, there are always people around pitching in, throwing an extra hand. And that's something I do want to point out because as I show this day centered around me and what I am doing, there is so much work and so much happening behind the camera, underneath the camera, completely outside of the viewing area. There's way more work that goes into sustaining a family of 10, but the good news is I am not doing all of that work. I have the things that I need to tend to today. It's not as crazy as it might sound. It's steady, but it's not overwhelming and stressful because we do have a large family and a lot of people contributing to this. Now Now, last night I had some bread in the refrigerator in bannetons, so I'm baking that, doing some stretch and folds on my buns for tonight throughout the morning, a little tidying. I have some kids practicing math and ukulele and reading all around. It's a busy, bustling household this morning. The last several times I made guacamole for my family, we ran out, and today I'm determined to make enough because we all love it. I feel like we never get enough, so I made sure to get tons of avocados so that I'd have plenty of them ripe all at the same time. And I'm gonna make sure on today's meal, because I have that roast going in the Instant Pot, I'm just gonna make some real simple tacos, that we have enough guacamole this time. I'm also doing a couple more stretch and folds just throughout the morning so we can get these buns just going for tonight. Again, time is on my side. There's not much active time in any of the kitchen stuff I'm doing, but since I'm around, I can give it a little bit of attention here and there, and it'll be ready to go tonight. For my guacamole, I do lime juice, some lemon juice, avocados obviously, garlic powder, and salt. I just keep it really simple, and my family is so into it, from the oldest to the youngest. They don't really love slices of avocado. I do, and my older kids do. The little kids don't, but they love guacamole. We end up falling back on tacos a lot because we have all the things we need to make them. We have meat, we have tortillas. Lately, I have been buying so many jalapenos because turns out, and I knew this before, but then I get in phases where I remember things and I forget things. Jalapenos are good on everything. I also dice up an onion because Luke and I will like that on our tacos. I like the street taco style. So I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that means cilantro and onions on a taco with a corn tortilla. I like that, but then I also do add jalapenos, sour cream. I add a little bit of cumin and chili powder to the meat. I add a little bit of the juices back to the meat, and then I'll reserve the rest to use as broth later this week. Usually before lunch, some of the younger boys will go outside, play on the swing set, play on the trampoline. It is so nice this time of year that now we can have that break in our day several times throughout the day so kids can run around, get some of their energy out. Then we serve up lunch. Now lately we've been doing a lot of eating outside. Today we decided it would just be easier to eat inside. Now that we got this big table, it's less enticing to carry everything outside. Before it was kind of a problem because we didn't have enough space inside, but now that we do, it makes it super easy. Everyone brings all of their dishes in and helps with the dishes. I have a few things here that I'm putting away now in a final wipe of the table, but again, this was a big mess, cleaned up by everyone, which honestly happens so ridiculously fast. I never time it, but I think we get the place completely clean, and that's relative. I'm sure there's lots of spots on the table that I'm not showing, but we get it looking decently clean in probably less than 10 minutes, I would say. Now, not every day looks the same for me. We have the days where we really buckle down. That's usually Monday through Thursday. By Thursday, we usually have all tasks completed for the week, for the business, outside of some communication throughout Friday, Saturday, Sunday via Slack, email, and text. But Friday, we have homeschool co-op every other Friday, some kind of field trip, play activity outside now that it's spring on the opposite ones of that. And then homeschool co-op will end very soon too. So I'm doing very little food prep and very little business throughout those weekend days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes I think, oh, I'm gonna film this certain thing or do like a big food prep day over the weekend, and it just never happens. We keep those days very fun, very busy. Now, I'm an extrovert, and so I have noticed talking to lots of people who are introverts that the idea of a fun, relaxing day is one at home where you're not doing a whole lot. I am the complete opposite. So I buckle down all throughout the week, Monday through Thursday, roughly, get all the things done, all the food prep, all the business work, all the school. And then I like to get out of the house, have a lot of fun things planned, especially this time of year. There's plenty to do all throughout the weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, usually by Thursday evening, we're going somewhere fun. So it may look like a lot of food prep all the time on my YouTube channel, but that's because it's packed in the only days that I'm filming. But then all throughout the weekend, there's hardly any. I'm kind of writing off what I've already done throughout the earlier part of the week. And then I only schedule podcast interviews Monday through Thursday in the afternoon. So it can look a little bit different in the afternoon right now because it is springtime and it's so warm and we have so much going on over at the farm with the new build. A lot of times Luke will first do some of the school stuff with the older kids that we didn't finish up throughout the morning, like read alouds. And then once he finishes that, usually he will take 4 of the boys out to the farm. Now that the build is fully underway, there's plenty of work to do out there all the time, and it's growing by the day. They're going out there more and more often, and what that gives us is a quieter house. And then me and my older daughters have things that we're doing at home, and then the little boys have their nap time. And so the afternoon is a time where I can either get some business stuff done in the afternoon, like communicating with my team, recording podcast episodes, doing editing for the YouTube channel. One of my daughters also helps edit my YouTube videos, but then I'll do like voiceovers where I'm explaining things like I am right now. But I'll either do some of that or I will do some food prep. And sometimes I'll do a little combination of both. So what I have going on today, I milled some hard white wheat berries and made a couple recipes of my sourdough pie crust. You can find that recipe on farmhouseonboone.com. I did a podcast episode recently with Melissa K. Norris, and she talked about how she preps pie crust for the freezer. So I have an upcoming video on freezer cooking, but my biggest issue with freezer cooking is it's great, you don't have to plan ahead, but the problem is you always have to thaw the thing out. So she kind of had a hack for that. And so I really wanted to try it. So I made the pie crust. I got them in the fridge so that I could roll them out later. And then I'll show you what I'm doing with that the rest of the way. I also started some yogurt and some sauerkraut. My buns that I want to use tonight, they have been fermenting all throughout the morning, so I got them shaped so they can do a second rise and they can be baked before dinner time. These are the sourdough hamburger buns on farmhouseonboone.com, except I replaced the all-purpose flour with hard white wheat berries freshly milled. So exact same recipe, except that simple swap. They almost turn out just as delicious. In fact, I'm going to say it, they turn out as delicious. It's a great way to start with whole grain flour. If you are wanting to experiment with it, it's a simple recipe to try, and it can all just be done one for one. Now, I also do stretch and fold. I talked about this on here like a million times, but for those who are new watching, kind of ditched the mixer, and I'm just doing all stretch and folds now because it's just so easy. Instead of getting out the mixer, I just put everything in a bowl, and then throughout the morning when I think of it, I'll do a stretch and fold, maybe like 3 times, develops the gluten fabulously. The sauerkraut is over on farmhouseonboone.com as well. I'll just let this sit on my countertop for about 10 days and we can start eating it. It is tick season now, and we live in the country, which means that we get ticks all the time. I'm trying to be a bit more proactive this year about it. In the past, we just make it our nightly routine to always check all the kids, but to stop them before they even get on is my goal this year. And so I'm going to make a large amount of tick spray. My sister said that last year she put cedarwood on her dog and he got considerably less ticks. So I'm using cedarwood plus the TerraShield blend in witch hazel. They also sell TerraShield in a small little bottle, but I want a big bottle that we can just spray all over their pants. I know we'll still get ticks because there's no way to completely avoid it, and I know I'll forget to put this on every single time they go outside, but at least I'm armed and ready, and hopefully I'll get in the habit of it and actually get fewer ticks this year. April and May are the worst months for them. When it gets hot and dry, we get a lot less of them. We don't really get them here at our house in town, but when we go to our farm, when we go to our parents' farm, which is all the time, that's where we come home with a lot of ticks. Okay, so here is the trick that Melissa Norris taught me. Instead of just putting them in rounds like you normally would put pie crust in the refrigerator and then possibly into the freezer, but then having to thaw them out before actually using them, she rolls them out and does a flash freeze. When I'm making a pie, I usually, instead of dividing it half and half, I'll do like 2/3, 1/3. And then the 2/3 one I'll put down into the pie plate because it has the sides and everything. And then the 1/3 one is just flat, and that's the top of the pie. So I'm doing 2 of each. I'll freeze them, and then once they're frozen, I'll stack them and get them all into the freezer. Now that the milk is cool, I add some yogurt from a previous batch. I'll let that ferment all the way until bedtime, possibly tomorrow, and then answer a few emails with what little bit of nap time I have left. A few weeks ago, I was walking around a farmer's market with my sister. She always has the most creative dinner ideas. In my house, it's usually just meat and potatoes, fruits, veggies, salt, maybe some herbs, lots of bread, of course. But she'll mention things to me that I'm like, yes, I need to make that. And the other day when we were at the farmer's market, someone was selling kimchi, and she told me about these gochujang burgers with kimchi jam. So yes, this is not something you normally see here on my channel. Now, I do have a recipe for kimchi over on my website. Cooking it does take away the probiotic benefits of the kimchi, unfortunately, but I am okay sometimes with going for taste, and this sounded very, very good. All on top of my whole grain sourdough buns that I got going this morning. Again, with those working all throughout the day, it really made for some quick, simple dinner prep tonight. I did also serve this with some fried potatoes, which I didn't show here. It was very good. This is just a snapshot in time of how my routine works right now. It changes by season, by year. There are so many things that affect our daily routine and schedule, and no 2 days look exactly the same, but I enjoyed sharing with you this little snapshot in time of what it looks like right now in the spring of 2025.